Today's guest needs no introduction. She is well known in our design system community. And yeah, welcome to the Value UX podcast, Noelle.
Thank you. Yeah, it looks different in here. It's cool. I
Yeah,
like it.
it's like, we've gone for a complete setup. And as mentioned, Noelle comes on my show, which I do on the cycle Modus Operandi. And so she's no stranger to any of my questions. But today I really want her to um delve into what she's going to be talking about at the Value UX conference. No, do you want to
Yeah,
take it?
I wanted to talk about this. I have been thinking about this for a while, so I'm excited to have some passionate people or nerds, as I like to say, in a room where we can all chat about it. But I've been thinking about this issue of in design systems, right? We talk a lot about, and especially, you and I've talked about this a lot. Um, talk about closing the gap between design and engineering. And design systems, like one of their big value propositions is that they are supposed to help kind of bridge that divide. You get kind of specialized personnel that can look into engineering, look into design, cross-disciplinary teams to kind of help scale agreements between those two disciplines across organizations. But my question and what I want to delve into in my talk is what if there's misalignment in the design system, and we're not closing that gap in certain instances, and then that problem scales across an organization? And so, yeah, I think that's a super interesting problem because it's kind of like a when things go wrong, but I don't necessarily think it's like a failure. It's just a we're all human. This is going to happen. How do we handle it when it does happen, and what are the effects of it happening so that we can identify it?
Wow. I'm gonna dissect, and I don't want you to give too much away because I want to leave
Yeah.
um the nitty-gritties for people to come to your talk. But do you think that's what happens to design systems, that they look at it as the holy grail to be the end all for all design talks, hearing
Mm,
talks? And if that is not at its peak state, meaning that I'm talking, if it's not um how should you say, if it's not done right, it has a detrimental effect on how organizations use it, as well as communication between designers.
yeah, I think there's a couple layers to it. And yeah, we can keep it more high level, but I think the layers that I'm most interested in are impressions from your stakeholders, because then you start to get into, well, it's not actually solving this problem, so why not? Yeah, and you're like losing some of your like sales points, let's say, because you're selling your design system to your leadership or whoever your stakeholders are that you're selling it to. When it starts to not function as you've advertised, there's that. And you and I've talked about that topic a lot too. And then there's the daily work of now there's confusion instead of agreements that are across the organization. They're not just between your team. And those are it's particularly hard to untangle because if you can't agree on your own team, now you're kinda different people are gonna say different things as an answer to that as your consumers are coming into the team, and so it's really important to like, get to that quickly. And in my talk, I called it space oddities because I think this happens most frequently with spacing, and so we'll get into some of the nitty-gritties of like, "Hey, has this ever happened to you with spacing? Has this ever" whatever. And so I think there's some really interesting examples that I've seen common across the board as some of the most common things to be confusing even in a design system team. But yeah, I think it is a mix of like how do you continue to advertise to your stakeholders and how do you, take corrective action and then how do you get those agreements back really quickly on your team so you can start to, handle that on your consumers that are now kind of dealing with some of the question marks that came from, the design system.
Yeah. Noel, do you think Well, let me actually rephrase this in a better way, because Value X is made accessible to everyone. We want everyone to go to every single talk. But would you say that your talk is aimed at a specific audience, and what type of audience would that be?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I honestly think that this particular topic could be anywhere from like a medium-sized org to an enterprise org design system team. Super small teams have the benefit of being able to talk to 2 to 3 people. So unless you have, like particularly hard relationships between those 2 to 3 people, you probably won't be running into quite as many miscommunications. And so this talk is really aimed towards, hey, if you are having miscommunications on your team. So I guess I won't put a size on it. I'll just put like, hey, when design systems teams are having, a time of miscommunication, what does that look like? How do you go about that? Whether it's 2 people that are having a hard time or whether it's, 16 people serving, hundreds of consumers or whatever. So, I think that's kind of the audience that I have in mind with that is and it's probably more specific to design systems in general.
Would you say that, you know, would you say that most of the designers, and I know some designers, will delve into a design system, but would you say that somebody who's just learning about moving into that design system space, would that also be, a talk that they can get value from?
Yeah, totally. I think so, and I think even a design system consumer that's curious about these kinds of things, like if you've ever been on the consuming side and you're frustrated by some of those things that have come through, I think that would be super helpful to kind of see like what is going on under the hood, kind of give you some insights, and then, potentially help you as a consumer talk to your design systems teams more clearly, or at least have an idea of like why some of those things happen.
I'm gonna take it in a different route. So the name of the conference is called Value X, and
Yeah.
what would you say would be the biggest value that people are gonna get from your talk, from your perspective?
Yeah, I hope what people are left with is an idea of how to rectify common miscommunications between engineers and design. Um, and we talk about bridging the gap all the time. And to me, it's less about like how to finally bridge the gap and more of, hey, even if you're a team dedicated to bridging the gap, you're still going to have gaps. What does that look like? How do you communicate? So it's really a set of communication tools between those two disciplines to understand where each perspective might be coming from. So yeah, even if you're not in design systems and you're, a product designer that's handing off specifications, you probably run into a lot of the same problems. But I am going to be, specific to these problems scale when you're on a design system team. So how do you think through that? So yeah, I hope to leave people with that with the toolbox to kind of talk through some of those things.
Nice. Will people be able to come to you with certain questions that they might have? Because I'll give you my 2 cents, and why we even started Value X. A lot of people came to me and Dale, my business partner with Value X, and what they found was they spend so much money to go to conference, and that's one of the biggest
Hmm.
things. What we wanted to do was stop that. But one of the things that they made clear that when we spoke to these people was they went to talks, and they were great talks, great subjects, but there was nothing that they could take in that on a Monday morning they're set ready to go with,
Right.
tools and tactics and stuff that they learn to apply into their day-to-day work. What would you say you're doing different with this one in order for them to really utilize it in their day-to-day life?
Yeah, I mean, I hope the takeaways are clear. I also, I'm the type of person that if you ever want to talk to me about it, feel free to reach out. Happy to talk because it's hard to apply it to your own situation sometimes. You hear a speaker and you kind of get the ideal state, I think. Which is kind of part of my talk anyway. I'm like trying to talk about the not ideal state. Like let's talk about what's actually happening.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I hope to be a little bit more real and honest in that. But, I think to apply it to your own situation, sometimes it's nice to be able to talk to the person that presented. So I'm always open to that as well. Otherwise, it's more of those takeaways of just, "Hey, here's the toolbox. Let me try to be as clear as possible." And, some people really take that and thrive with those kinds of things. I've met people that all they need is that one little, nugget, and they're like, "Yep,
Yeah.
good." But yeah, for other people, if they wanna chat or, if there's, opportunities to hang out kind of virtually in the conference too, between talks, things like that, I think that'd be fun. Yeah, I think we'll have good and hopefully keep it really, really practical.
What would you say to somebody who does want to apply what you teach? I mean, if they're going to be hearing this podcast before the show or before your talk, what would you say as great advice to them if they are taking some of your learnings and want to apply it?
Yeah, I think the most important thing with anything to do with communication toolkits or just takes in general is it might work for your team and it might not work for your team. And I think you're the expert on your team. And if it's something that you really, really want to apply, this might sound super, super spicy, but one of my kind of hot takes is, if you're a designer and you're really, really trying all these things, or really any position, if you're really, really trying all these things and you're trying to get people to listen to your perspective and it's just not happening, and that's the core of your struggle, then I think it's worth asking, is that a team you really want to invest in long term? That's like a really like deep dive into it. But
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that's my advice to people is like, hey, if you're going to all these conferences, if you're trying to apply all these concepts and they're good concepts and you just can't make any headway, try to start finding people that do think that way and try to, work with them, which is a lot easier said than done. But sometimes it does come to that. And so for people that have been disappointed by not being able to apply things for a long time, that's usually kind of where I start.
Wow.
But, yeah, if it's less about that though, then I think, more casual conversations and more story building within your own organization and like how to start advertising and getting people excited and rallying around it. Like if that's possible at your organization, then go there first. But yeah, for those
Mhm.
people that have, been disappointed by putting in all that energy and not getting anything out of it, then I do usually have to ask.
Yeah. I love that you said that because it is the truth. I think, you know, you've just hit the nail on the head in the sense that you've gone to conferences, you've been to many talks, and you come into your talk. If it falls in deaf ears, you kind of have to look into what is better out there for people to listen to you. And I think I love what you just mentioned that there's some great ideas you can take from everywhere, and there will be people that are going to listen to your great ideas. Um, and try it as much as you can. But, as you mentioned, it's easier said than done, or, it's easier to speak to people that might be receptive. But at some point, you kind of have to say to yourself, if there is no effort to change, you kind of have to. And obviously, it's easy said to on a podcast, we know what the
Absolutely.
market's like.
There's, like,
It's,
life implications to saying that,
yeah,
There's
yeah,
personal
yeah,
implications to saying that. Yeah.
yeah. Absolutely. We know what the market's like. It's not like we both don't know what the market's like. We hope that you do find that kind of middle ground in people listening to you. So
Yeah.
yeah. Um
And, if you are
Noel.
absolutely stuck and that feels like a doomsday thing, I think the best thing that people can get out of conferences if they feel like they can't move and they feel like they're in that situation is just to inspire yourself,
Mhm. Yeah,
and use it as a refresh, use it as a career vacation in a sense to remember why you like doing the things that you do.
yeah,
If you're burnt out, like this is your cool drink.
yeah,
Come hang out
yeah. I
with
like
people that care, you know?
that. Well, actually, let me delve into a question about that. So, what else? Okay, so take away from speak. Like, what else do you think is important to people who go to conferences? Obviously, it's about the talks, but what else, from your perspective, do you think conferences are good at?
Yeah. I mean, I love the talks. I love learning things, but to me, I do speaking. For me, I love just meeting people, like, meeting people that care, meeting people that are excited, like, when you have excited people all in a room, I mean, there's so much value in that. And to me, I'd be, I think I'm super excited about this because that's kind of always been my complaint about virtual conferences. Like, well, you don't get to like hang out with people. And I
Hmm.
really like the format of this because it's built around, hanging out with people and going to talks, like an in-person conference. And so I think that's really cool, where you can kind of self-explore, self-guide, kind of the
Hmm.
same way you would if you're in, a big conference center and you can kind of pick your track or whatever. So I think, take advantage of that absolutely because that's my favorite thing about conferences all the time is just, hey, who did I meet and where were they from and what did they care about and what were they doing and how were they applying things? Because that's it too. It's like, yeah, you could talk to me or any of the other speakers about the talks as well, but sometimes hearing somebody else that listened to the talk that's already started some of these things, like that's way more exciting sometimes too.
Yeah. No, I love that because I actually do want to get into a conference with Noel. I think we'll go crazy if we met each other in real life. But if you ever see Noel's post whenever she goes to like config, she posts up all the people that she meets, and that, in my opinion, is where the value is, meeting people. Now, we don't want to change the landscape, completely. The idea of Value X was just to make it accessible, but the real value, in our opinion, is meeting people. Now, we've made the platform there so that you can just meet people. Some people do struggle with that kind of like going up to people and talking,
Yeah.
but we don't ever want to replace the real life conferences because we think meeting people in real life is just amazing. But we know what the market is like at the moment. We know people are just struggling to put food on the table. And that's the whole reason why we wanted to make it virtual. And at one point, me and Dale will think about making it a live conference again, but then it goes against our principles because we want to make it accessible to everyone. So
Yeah.
it's an idea. It's an idea.
Yeah. Hey, one virtual, one in person, maybe? That could be cool.
Yeah, could
That could
be.
be
Could
cool.
be.
It's a lot of work for y'all, but hey,
Yeah.
I'll just throw it your way, see what happens. Kidding.
um, Ladies and gentlemen, everyone who might have not know this or who are just seeing this for the first time, Value X is built around us making money from our sponsors, and generally we do not charge any of the people who comes onto Value X, who comes into the conference. We do not charge them any fee or any hidden fees at all. We all want you to know that when you do go to a talk, the speaker is speaking on their behalf, and we would like you to donate whatever you think the value you got out of it to them. Again, it's not, we don't pressure you to do that. We just think if you found value, we want you to receive it back to the speaker, and the speaker gets 100% of all the donations. We do not keep a single penny. So anything that you do donate goes directly to all the speakers or the speaker that you're speaking to or listening to. And yeah, that's pretty much our business model. So um, before we wrap up, are you going to be floating about on the day?
I think so. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with that. I wanna, build a little character and go around and check out everything. So I'm really excited about that. I've been seeing all those previews of what it looks like, and I think it's gonna be so fun. I love video games. I love the like 16-bit video games especially, and so this is right up my alley.
All right. Before we wrap it up, I thought I will give, because I gave Ben a sneak peek.
Ooh,
But this time I'm going to give you a little sneak peek because
I'm excited.
um, so let me share my screen. And this is now the final version that
Look
we're going to
at
be doing. So this is the actual conference space. And so we've got some really cool nuggets in here around it. This is how we've designed it. We've kept it very, very open. So because we don't want people just bumping into each other and kind of going all over the place. But we've kind of let me zoom in a bit to myself. We left some discussion points on tables, so there'll be certain documents that I'll be left there. So let me see if I can open up one of these documents. I think it might be Loren Ipsum text, so just let you know.
Yeah, no
So
worries.
there'll be discussion points on the topics
Wee.
and stuff like that. And then we've also dropped in some people who are sponsoring like podcasts. Again, we've got Aligned Consultant Groups podcast there,
Oh
as well
yes.
as UXR Minds. And also we left some really cool, fun stuff. There's some cool games. So I'll just let me go into here. So I think this one has Mario on it. So yeah, if you open up
Oh,
one of the
man.
arcades, you can play Mario and have a good fun. I
Oh,
think
man.
that's.
You
Oh, does it
I
work?
just talked
Yeah.
about how social I was gonna be, and now you're telling me there's Mario in here?
There's Mario. I think there's Sonic. There's all these
No
cool
way.
16-bit. Yeah, there's all over the place. This is one of the rooms. I think this is called the Chill Glade. So this is like the outdoor bit. There'll be some cool stuff there going on there. There'll be some discussion points
So,
going on. I think
bring your
this,
sunscreen, it's gonna be sunny out
yeah,
here.
yeah. Bring your sunscreen, and this is where a lot of our side talks are happening. So there'll be a main event talk room. So let me I might pop into that just to show you. I
Main
think, yeah,
stage access. Let's see
this is the
it.
main stage access. So this is the main speaking room. We could fit about 250 people in there. This is the main stage. So I'll zoom out a bit and so you can kind of see it.
Wow.
And, and the cool thing about this is that when you're in a row, so if you're sitting in here and your five people are sitting there, all your cameras will turn on. It's not the other 10
Wow.
people. So all the people in your row will turn on, and then you can have a conversation with each other. And just to let everyone know, because we've now made a waiting list, we will make all the videos that are live. We will make them streamed on YouTube and LinkedIn. So every single talk that's going on will be streamed live. So if people weren't able to get onto the virtual conference, at least you can see all the talks. So again, we wanted to make it accessible to everyone. And then I think this is the last bit. This is a place called the Chill Glade. I think we put loads of arcades. I think we even put a go-kart. Yeah, we put some go-karts
Look
in
at
here.
that.
So you lot can just have a good fun,
Oh,
like drive
wow.
around. We thought we'd just make it a bit more fun. And again, there's some games on the tables. There's discussion topics that we can do. I think we're still just finalizing the designs of the posters. But again, yeah, we're making it fun, and there's loads of different things you can do. There's loads of different interaction, and there's a competition. There's loads of competitions going on. I think one of the ones, I think what we know so far, what I know so far, there's different competitions in every single room, and you have to piece together all of the puzzles to make a word. And then when you know that word, you would then email it to us, and then you will be given some gifts from our community sponsors. Just to let everyone know, we are sponsored by UXL as our community sponsor, and we're also sponsored by Listener and Condens as one of our main sponsors.
I love this. This it already feels like playing a game, but then there's games within games, and then there's real
Yeah,
people. I love that you have the interaction of sitting next to people because then it feels so much less anonymous. It feels a lot more like actually get to meet people, which is what we were just talking about. You
hmm
can sit with the same people at those talks if you start, finding friends. I think that's part of the fun of a conference. So that's super
yeah.
cool. I love that that's built in.
Oh, thank you. No, I appreciate it. And this is just a shout out to our sponsors who've kind of come in. We didn't want to pack it out with loads of different sponsors. We actually kept it very, very lean. So one of our sponsors, we kind of said, yes, we're only having one talk from one sponsor. I mean, it is a normal thing for conferences, but we didn't want to pack it out with loads of speakers. So yeah, we kept it very lean and very subject matter experts, I would say. Cool. Whoa. Noel, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the conference. Again, would you like to drop some details so that people can get in touch with you if they've seen this video or are looking for you at the conference?
Yeah, yeah. Connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm most active. You can, send me a connection request, send me a DM. If you DM, I have like little calendar slots, usually in the morning Eastern time. But if that doesn't work for you, we can find another time. But yeah, that's a super easy way. If you just DM me on LinkedIn, I'll shoot you a calendar and you can pick a slot and we can chat. So that I try to keep it super easy. So yeah, that works for me. You can also shoot me an email through my website, noellelansford.com, if you prefer email. But yeah, I'm around online, so come find me and we'll connect and chat. And of course I'll see you at the conference. If you see my little character, feel free to just walk on up and we can start talking.
Nice. Just so everyone knows, Noel is speaking on the first day of the conference on the 30th of September. her slot is actually at 4:15 Central European summertime. And again, she will be speaking about her subject called Space Oddities and Navigating the Nebulous Language of Design Systems. So we are very, very glad that, or we're very honored and glad that she's come on to the conference as well as this podcast. And we're looking forward to the day and seeing how it all turns out. So brilliant. Nice. Do I
Yay!
exit now? Is
I
this
know.
a bit right?